Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. It is News Done Differently for Tuesday, the 5th day of April, 2022, currently 10:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We begin tonight with a report from Newsweek magazine posted on newsweek.com. Donald Trump finally admits defeat. Quote, I didn't win the election, end quote. The former president made the admission he didn't win the 2020 election in an interview defending the legacy of his sole term in office. This has a lot of ramifications as word begins to spread. This was only put out about 3 hours ago, so not a lot of people are aware that he has done this. There will be a lot of people that are not aware he's done this because they don't watch anything other than Fox News or OAN, which was taken off of DirecTV today. So that will be a tremendous blow to their revenue. And but nonetheless, Trump finally admitted the big lie. Now, this is going to have a lot of ramifications, as I said. As word spreads and people become aware of this, there are going to be people that are incredibly unhappy that they have been scammed, that they have been conned, that they have indeed believed a big lie that he knew wasn't true. Now, what I expect him to do, and before I get to what I expect him to do, people are going to believe that, people are going to understand that they've been lied to, they've been conned, and some of them are going to be upset. And maybe amongst them will be, there are going to be people that have lost loved ones to COVID. Because once the big lie is exposed, one of the ramifications is everything else he said comes into question. Now, not all people that support Trump are going to be that way. Some of them are going to, whatever he says, they don't care. Some of them, and we'll show you coming up, some of them honestly believe he's the risen Son of God, that he's the definition of I'm going to show you because it's just, it borders on blasphemy to me, and I don't want to talk about it, but it's coming up. Now, this also has ramifications for people like Sarah Palin, who he endorsed yesterday. Again, in some areas, it's not going to matter, but overall, this is going to put a giant taint on all the Republican Party, and specifically the Republicans that are very deeply tied to Trump. And we're going to be talking about some of them tonight. We're going to be talking about some of them throughout the remaining episodes as we move along. One of the other ramifications in this is now that he has admitted that he didn't win the election, well, he caused an insurrection on January 6th, and people died, and people are going to prison over this. Again, people are going to be mad. What are his legal ramifications? Does he now, because he said, if I lose the election, I'm going to leave the country and you'll never see or hear from me again. Now he said he didn't win the election, and I'm anticipating he tries to leave the country, but not to punish us for not voting him in, because that's the way he looks at it. He would look at it as, I'm leaving America, I'm never going back. I'm going to punish them for not loving me enough to make me king of the world. That's the way he looks at it. And I hope some of you, if you happen to be a Republican and you're watching this, I hope you understand that. because the world, just because Trump is going to be out of the way soon doesn't mean the world's not heading towards something incredibly, potentially devastating. And as many of us in this country as possible need to come together. And this person, former President Trump, who now admits he lost, is a big, huge reason why people are so divided. And there should be a reckoning for that too. Now, last Thursday, I reported that Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald Trump, Jared Kushner worked in the White House at a job that paid between $40,000 and $60,000 a year. And yet he and Ivanka made $150 million during the time that they worked in the White House. And I question that, but that's a different story. Right now, you got to ask. Last Thursday, Jared Kushner spoke. I think it was Thursday. I don't know. The days are running. I'm not even sure what day it is sometimes because things just seem to be spinning so fast. Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of the president, spent 7 hours testifying in front of the January 6th committee last Thursday. Today, Ivanka Trump spent over 7 hours testifying in front of the January 6th committee. And to quote the leader of the committee, she was not chatty, but she was cooperative, and she never once took the fifth. So that leads to the question, are Jared and Ivanka scheming to take down Donald? Don Lewis and I asked the same question just about the same time. I posted as soon as I saw this that Jared and Ivanka are scheming to take Donald down, and don't be surprised. Also, don't be surprised if he says, yeah, I lost the election, but I was lied to by everyone else. And, there would have never been a January 6th had, if they'd have told me the truth from the start. It's all their fault. That will be the next big lie. And what's big lie got to do with it? Well, let's go back to our propaganda. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. Accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. And, we see that all the time. First of all, Republicans were doing a big, there's voter fraud, there's voter fraud, there's voter fraud. And then we find out, yeah, there's voter fraud, and the Republicans are the ones doing it. Here's today's story. Republican candidate in New Hampshire voted in 2 states primaries in 2016. A Republican candidate running for Congress in New Hampshire voted in 2 different states. Yeah, it goes on. It happens. And there are probably Democrats that do it too. But the idea that you accuse the other side, that's what you are guilty. And this next little bit has to do with that as well. Let's just get to it here. Again, thank you for watching. It's News Done Differently. Okay, this was Marjorie Taylor Greene. From earlier tonight. Well, let's just let her tell you.
point, though, where the Democrats are the party of pedophiles. The Democrats are the party of princess predators from Disney. The Democrats are the party of teachers, elementary school teachers.
Elementary school teachers. I really take personal offense to this. Not that Marjorie Taylor Greene cares or will even know, but I know a lot of elementary school teachers. I went to school with a whole bunch of elementary school teachers, and they are selfless when it comes to their classrooms. They buy their own supplies. They put in extra hours. They work with kids that need special help. To besmirch them by this piece of, I haven't said anything about it, but there are rumors. There are rumors that the reason she's against, they're all against transsexuality so much. And if you listen to her talk, she talks like a man. Her words are like a lot of white men that I know. If you know what I'm saying, white men, you know who I'm talking about. Her words are like that. And I know somebody said, well, you can, if you look close in some of these, you can see, I don't know. Anyway, she's talking about pedophiles, and I've been talking a lot about the QAnon connection to pedophiles, and another one came up. I'm not the only one working on this. I told you that as well. From Dauphin County, Florida, security guard accused of child porn. The father of the woman accused of stealing Nancy Pelosi's laptop on January 6th. 55-year-old Ricky Williams. Right here. So the connections between child porn, between human trafficking, and between the Republican Party, you accuse the other side of that, which you are guilty. Trump won the election because of accusing Hillary Clinton of running a child sex ring out of the basement of a pizza place in Washington, D.C. A big lie. And enough people bought it that he won. Okay, we're going to start looking at Trump's lies going backwards. Not all in this episode. Please stick around, because it's that's not going to be the only thing in this episode. But again, just to make sure you see this, Dauphin County security guard accused of child porn happened to be the father of the woman that stole Speaker Pelosi's laptop when they were trying to overthrow the government on January 6th. Connections run deep. But anyway, let's get back to Marge here besmirching the elementary school teachers as well as Walt Disney World. And let's run it back. Who else did she talk about?
Predators from Disney. The Democrats are the party of teachers, elementary school teachers.
They should be the party of elementary school teachers. After this, every elementary school teacher ought to be voting for nothing but Democrats, because you've seen your classroom funding shredded. You've seen you're being besmirched. Don't forget these things. I'm not even going to go there.
Trying to transition their elementary school age children and convince them they're a different gender. This is the party of their identity, and their identity is the most disgusting, evil, horrible things happen.
Look, maybe some people choose to be gay, or they experiment or whatever. But let's be real clear, okay? the persecution, the disrespect, the abuse, verbally, physically, mentally, spiritually, that people in the LGBTQ plus community go through is such that I have a feeling if a lot of them could choose not to go through that, they would choose not to go through all that. But you see, it is not a choice. And God judges, not you. All right? No matter what you believe, what you've been taught. You've been taught that anything that is not comfortable for you has to be wrong for everyone else. Let me repeat that. You've been taught that everything that is comfortable for you has to be wrong for everybody else. And yet, how can you put yourself in that high of a seat of judgment? How can you have that much value over yourself that you have to impose what you believe on others? That's what she's doing here. That's what they all do. They say, we're the party that we don't want regulations. Well, this isn't regulations. This same Republican Party, and not all most Republicans won't even know this. The same Republican Party today voted in Tennessee that child marriage is legal. There is no age restriction. You can get married at any age. Is that not the epitome of an avenue for sexual predators, for child molestation, for human trafficking? It's legalized once the governor signs it. We're going to show you that in just a minute. I'm not making it up.
Happening in our country, and that's why we have to say it. We have to be willing to say it, and no matter how many little blue check marks get their feelings hurt on Twitter. So it's worth talking point though where
okay, you said it. Now, that's not the only thing that she had to say by far. Come on. Okay, here we go.
This is not the type of justice we need on the Supreme Court, and everyone knows it. So yes, Murkowski, Collins, and Mitt Romney are pro-pedophile.
Are you seeing what's happening here? There's this group in the Republican Party that are heavily influenced by QAnon, and they are so after everybody else is a pedophile. Okay, everybody else is a pedophile. Let me go back to that. Gives the other side of that, which you are guilty. Everybody else is a pedophile.
This is not the type of justice we need on the Supreme Court, and everyone knows it. So yes, Murkowski, Collins, and Mitt Romney.
Three people that are not closely associated with QAnon, but yet are Republicans. There's going to be this divide that has to happen in the Republican Party. Okay? There are going to be those that are going to go, okay, look, I'm not down with this anymore. Or I never was down with it. Adam Kinzinger. Okay, Adam Kinzinger is quitting. He's leaving Congress. A cush gig where he could be making $160,000 a year doing nothing, retiring after 2 terms. Okay, 4 years in there and you retire, you get your pension for life. Even if you go on and become a senator or a governor, you get those pensions for life as well. It's a pretty cool gig. Now, I ran for office. I ran for one of those offices, and one of the things I was running for was you can't run more than one time in the House or the Senate. Okay. If you have 6 years in the House, you can't be a senator. You can be a senator for 6 years. You can't go on and do any other things. You can't keep feeding off of the public and then say the public is not deserving of public service. You're public servants. These are the things we need to be talking about, not pedophiles, not that we, because I talk a lot about capturing pedophiles, okay? Talking about her calling other members of her party pedophiles. Supporters of pedophilia is what she calls them. And there are plenty of them in her party. And we'll get to more of them in just a minute.
Are pro-pedophile by approving her judgments and her pro-pedophile stance.
Amy Barrett Conan, the last junior justice that was associate justice that was appointed, had never tried a case in life. Never tried a case in her life. She was like a law clerk, and she had a law degree, and she had never tried a case in her life, and now she sits on the Supreme Court because the Republicans ran it through. You really think that's good for America, no matter what political party you're in? Think about that. Think about how absolutely irresponsible that is for all of us.
Stances from the bench. And so, yeah, I tweeted that, and I don't care how many people are melting down. I'm more interested in protecting children and keeping a justice off of the Supreme Court that would rule in such favor of the most heinous, evil crimes that actually happen in our country. And also someone that's so ignorant she doesn't know what a woman is, even though she's a woman and she's the mother of 2 daughters.
Now, see, this is, I haven't said anything about it, but I've been hearing it for a long time that she's a transsexual, that she transed in when she was a teenager. And I don't know any, I ain't investigating it. I'm not going to. But the more she starts slamming women, the more it makes me wonder. And last night she gave a speech and she said basically that women have no power, that they are by far the weaker sex. And I shouldn't quote that without having it up and visible for you, but nonetheless, you can look it up. Okay, this came from Zach. Spent some time on Trump's Truth Social this afternoon, and pro-Trump users are becoming increasingly frustrated over Trump not posting. Quote, Trump's thumbs broke, unquote. One user asked Dan Scavano, who's also about to be criminally charged for evading the January 6th committee. Quote, the whole scam you guys are perpetrating on the patriots of this country is shameful, end quote. They're going to get mad. They're already getting mad. By the way, the 2 leading tech guys, tech company, Truth Social, have quit. They walked away yesterday. Okay, they both quit. The top developer and the top, I don't know. So the thing's falling apart. It's just a matter of who's going to sue who first over all of this. And it's just another example of failures in business. And it's really amazing that because he became a reality TV star, everyone thought he had some kind of gift. He does. He's a con man. And we're all seeing it. Some of us have seen it for a long time. Others are just now starting to see it. And a lot of you are probably pissed at me for bringing the message. I hope that passes. I hope over time you can go, man, for 6 years, I didn't talk to that guy. And the whole time he was right. It won't happen, but, you know, I'm going to come back to this. We're not, because, okay, I'm sorry, I got to play this. Just so you get an idea of the absolute bizarreness of things.
A motion to dismiss count 9, which is the 1512 count, on behalf of Edward Jacob Lang. Every one of his appearances since 2022 have been in person, so we're here at the courthouse today. We got a motion scheduled on that motion, and for the first time in 15 months, we were able to get permission for Mr. Jake Edward to hug and embrace his father today. So it was an impactful moment. I'm glad that the court allowed for such to happen, and we look forward to the outcome on quite a few motions that we have coming on behalf of Mr. Lang.
Okay, so this guy's filed a whole bunch of motions on behalf of the January 6th client, someone that was part of the attempted overthrow of the federal government. And out of all those motions, the judge today granted the request that he could get a hug from his dad. And you know, I'm not downplaying getting a hug from your dad. I would really like to have a hug from my dad, but that's not possible. He's no longer with us and hasn't been for a while. So I'm not downplaying that. What I'm downplaying is the cases, the fact that this guy is in his purple suit and he's saying, you know, we got all these motions, and it's been long enough that the cases that are being built are going to be pretty solid, pretty significant cases. I believe we're going to see. And I got this, and it's not to make fun of. It's to kind of show what happens to people that are like this. And you know, he has no real friends. Only, you know, he either pays people to hang around or pays them to play golf, doesn't like music, has no curiosity about things, he has no patience, no integrity, no compassion, no empathy, no loyalty, no conscience, no courage, no manners, no respect, no character, no morality, no honor, not even a dog. These are all characteristics of narcissism. This man loves himself, and he loves himself so much that there is, you know, he can lie and say, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. But over the course of time, you see that his self-love has grown so much that there's no capacity for anything close to love anywhere else. Told you I was going to get to some more pedophiles. Here's some of the Republicans. Roy Moore is accused pedophile. He was the governor of Alabama. Tim Nolan has been convicted of child sex trafficking. Matt Gaetz is accused of multiple counts, pedophilia, sex trafficking across state line. Matt Gaetz. Dennis Hastert was convicted of pedophilia. Donald Trump has been accused as a child rapist. He has 43 accusations against him by different women, some of them underage. Mayor Giordano is a convicted pedophile. Jim Knobloch is an accused child molester. Brett Kavanaugh, Supreme Court justice or Supreme Court jurist, accused of sexual assault. So was Clarence Thomas, by the way. Not on this list, but yeah. When old Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of the rest of them start talking about pedophilia, you notice the whole Supreme Court justice hearing for Ketanji Brown Jackson, the whole hearing quite about sex. They have a real problem with anybody else having sex. Meanwhile, they have cocaine orgies. All right. We know this because of Madison Cawthorn. So let's pause for a minute here and ask a question that I hope will be asked formally and legally. Two things. One of two things. Madison Cawthorn was lying, in which case he's a liar, and nothing can be trusted coming out of his mouth. Or number two, he's covering up a felony because possession of cocaine is a felony. So are you lying because the leader of your party came out and said you were lying? And then you said, no, I'm not lying. I didn't retract anything. So where'd the cocaine come from? Who was there? Who did the cocaine? Who brought it? Who's responsible for it? Where was this at? Who paid for the women? All of these things should be asked. These are Congress people. These are people that think they're untouchable, and they show us that they think they're untouchable. They're not. So let's flip past Marge real quick here. To something that's not political, that's not war, that's just something that is, I find, phenomenal. We're gonna watch it again. Okay. We'll watch it again. Don't try this at home or at your local gym or anywhere. So many things could go wrong with this. So many things could go wrong with that, but that's badass. I'm sorry. That's impressive. Borderline spectacular. We'll get back to this. Here we go. Let's go back here real quick. Just remind, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually believe it. You accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. Propaganda works best when those that are being manipulated are confident they are acting on their own free will. It is vitally important for the state to repress dissent, For truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus the greatest enemy of the state. That's where we were for 4 years with Donald Trump. And this is one of his proteges. He's running to be a senator in Ohio. And this is from his campaign website, joshmandel.com. You might want to pay a visit and ask him, you know, what's up, you liar? Why do I say that? Well, he's trying to portray himself as a friend of the Black community. The only problem is when he photoshopped this, he left the Black person's hands here in the picture. Okay. Now, I didn't Photoshop this and put 5 Black guys in the picture and put black hands on him to make him look bad. Okay. Josh Mandel, there's your man. Hunter Biden's laptop. This is again, we got a little break here from trauma and from politics, because you have to, even in a show that's, you know, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours long at the absolute max, the intensity of the stuff that's going on in the world, you got to take a breather every once in a while. And this is one of those where we get a 24-second breather. Oh, I'm getting better at this. I've got to get a monitor, but I'm getting better at this. The backstory: the Ukrainian army found this dog, and the dog had tags and had a collar on it, and quit it. Ukrainian army found this dog, and they had it for 3 weeks trying to find the owner. And basically, this is the moment that the dog sees the owner for the first time in 3 weeks. And I don't know, it's so close to the dog saying, "I love you." So yeah, there are good things. There are always good things. Dominican flagged cargo ship sank on Tuesday in the besieged southern Ukrainian port of Mariupol. It was targeted by Russian missile strikes. It was a civilian ship flying under Dominican flag. Ilya, yes. When all this was, when we were talking about could all this really happen, talking about the fact that in this war, every dude has a camera in the pocket and you just can't hide anything. Everyone and everything is in the open. And this is exactly what happens now. We just simply have Russian atrocities on the open. As simple as that. And this is not one of the. This is just a unique incident. A Russian missile strike happened to hit a nitric acid depot, and that's the pink color of the smoke. The reason for the pink color. The immediate area, of course, had to be evacuated. Some images from Jerusalem, Israel, fourth night of Ramadan, and again, just kind of a reminder to you that I'm keeping an eye on all this because the whole thing can go off, and by the whole thing I mean the world. And then this is just one of dozens of videos that come out each night of clashes between multiple Israeli forces and usually a single individual. I'm going to save this for just a minute too. Oh yes. Leave this up here for just a second. Just a reminder. We'll come back to that actually. Top U.S. military, this came in 5 hours ago from CNN International. The top U.S. military official told lawmakers that the world is becoming more unstable and the potential for significant international conflict is increasing, not decreasing. That's not breaking news if you watch this program. But he's telling the truth. Things are getting more and more intense internationally, and going to get more intense here at home too, because as the noose starts to tighten around the group that are going to be held responsible for the attempted overthrow of the government, the chance of them trying to rally a far right violent force of some kind is very real, and is something that we need to be aware of. But the good thing about that is, and I'm just basing this off of what I've heard and what I'm seeing, and things have been sent to me, that the people of the United States, the people, okay, the ones that were called the peasants by, anybody in power, which is a great illusion that is actually a target that people will see, that we are being inspired by what we see in Ukraine. All right. The average person has been inspired that, if it happens here, we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it. You can think you're bullies, and you can think you're going to run over everybody, and it'll just be, you're suddenly in charge of everything. But don't think that wouldn't come without a cost. And actually, it's probably not ever going to happen, because the way people think. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. We reported a follow-up to a story we reported on a couple of days back. Anti-abortion activist tries to explain just how she wound up with 5 fetuses in her refrigerator. Republican anti-abortion activist. Be interesting to know. She says that some guy gave them to her out of a truck. Mark Hertling, general, retired, is very disappointed in members of Congress. 63 House Republicans, nearly 1/3, voted against support for NATO as an alliance founded on democratic principles. Here's your pro-Russian party. Here's your pro-Trump party. And here's your anti-anything but a rich white man party. Okay. And that, you look at the women that are in the party, the Marjorie Taylor Greene, what's her name? Lorena Bobbitt. Is that her name? Something like that. No, Lorena Bobbitt, she husband's, she cut her husband's thing off because it was, never mind. What's her name though? It's something like that. And then you got Marsha Blackburn. I'm sorry, but they're just not classy, dignified, editorial women or congressional women. But they're in that 63. And anybody that watches this program knows that I'm far from anti-empowerment of women. I'm just laying it out on the line. These are how those 3 women I just mentioned, that's who they are. And I don't have any problem saying what people are, especially when they're supposed to be public servants and all they are is self-servants. We'll come back up to the Ukraine ambassador in just a second. I want to get all the political stuff out of the way here. For those of you that are Republican that don't know, CPAC is not only here in America, but they are going to be having their Budapest, Hungary convention coming up next month with the newly elected authoritarian Viktor Orban as their keynote speaker. I don't know, maybe you're not getting conned. Maybe you're part of a worldwide Nazi movement and you're okay with it. But it's a worldwide Nazi movement and you probably shouldn't be okay with it. And you should probably try to drive it out of your Republican Party. If you're a loyal American, if you're American first and Republican second, it's time to do something. Otherwise, little tiny Marco or little Marco, you're going to be tiny Marco. Marco Rubio. Trump called little Marco. Little Marco. Well, you're going to be tiny Marco. Or you're part of it. That's what it's coming down to, and we're going to call you out on it. See, the high road, Hillary Clinton said, when they go low, we go high. It doesn't work. When they go low, you got to stomp them into the ground, especially if they're liars, and make sure they don't lie anymore. Republicans, you're pretty good at that. You need to do it to your own party for the good of America, for the good of all of us. Yeah, it'll cost you a couple of elections, but eventually you'll say, we'll take your guns away. I say we, because it's anybody that's not you, even though I'm not part of either one. I'm just somebody that's got grandkids and I want to see a better America than we have now. Roger Stone. Roger Stone's one of those Trump guys that's going to be thinking right now. You know, Paul Manafort tried to lead the country already, and they stopped him and took him off the plane and revoked his passport. But Roger Stone's another one of those guys, and I've got a video of him coming up here. This is what I've been looking for. And it was a much bigger deal before Trump said that he didn't win. But this came out today that one of the January 6th defendants tried to have Trump served to appear as a witness, and the Secret Service pulled a gun on the man and stopped him at the gate. And so now the U.S. Marshals are going to be going down to serve the subpoena on President Trump, the former president of the United States, elected through lies, and then trying to steal the government through lies. And speaking of being served, here's the My Pillow guy coming out today, surrounded by hundreds of followers. No, surrounded by about 5 people.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for everything.
What is this? Sir, what is this? Well, what is it? Not from me. It's not from me. I need to open it.
It's been a bad few days for old Mike Lindell. Just to give you what was going on there. If I can, let's see if I can get it up here. I'm gonna go the wrong way. There we go. He was having an election integrity speech on the steps of the Colorado Capitol, and he got served by Eric Comer's Dominion Security Company in a defamation lawsuit for $3 billion. So he now has paper in his hand, and if he fails to appear, then he's going on the same track that Alex Jones is going on. It's costing Alex Jones $25,000 a day. That's not enough. He makes more than that on his conspiracy theory website. I'm going to get to this. This is troubling. I want to show this. It's going to be a little longer show tonight, probably, folks. Thank you for watching. Those of you, if you happen to be new, especially, thank you for watching News Done Differently. And what I'm going to show you, that I'm really getting tired. For 6 years, people have been spreading lies, and for 6 years, I've been countering those lies. And I'm getting to the point where it's just, if you're a known liar, you're going to be stopped. Okay. I'm not going to stop you. It's not me, but enough things are coalescing that it's going to happen. And as soon as these videos come out, the first people that came out and said these are not real were Americans. We're Russian agents in America. And what you see is a video I showed you the other day, 2 days, 3 days ago now, of the first day coming into Bucha. And this is the corresponding satellite footage that basically shows as it moves along where everything's at, visible from the targeting satellite. But just so you know, I'm not going to show the whole thing because I got all this stuff late Friday. I got this stuff after this and everything I showed the other night. I got this on Friday after the episode, after I did the news that night. And so I had it Friday, and I didn't do an episode Saturday because I was waiting for things to get verified. And so I've seen all this stuff too many times, and it literally makes me sick to my stomach. Now this I find just as dangerous as Fox. MSNBC is going to make its viewers pay to get the news. They're going to start streaming, and like CNN is doing. CNN has CNN Plus now. And if you actually want to see a lot of real news, you've got to subscribe to CNN Plus. MSNBC is going to be favoring opinion programs. This is just as dangerous potentially. I mean, what Fox is doing right now is destroying America. Okay, that's what they've been doing. And what Tucker Carlson is doing is anti-American. And he's a piss boy. That's all Tucker Carlson is. It's all Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's all. Any of these, they're piss boys. That's all they are. I'll show you what a piss boy is in a minute. Making people pay for the news is wrong, and we are guaranteed a free and independent press. And now this is going to make people want to look for programs like mine, where you watch and you judge for yourself. But this is just as dangerous potentially. This could turn for the left into just what Fox is for the right. And that's just, we ought to be able to have news. We ought to be able to have the information that is important and valuable. And we're finding less and less of that opportunity. And I believe that is intentional. And I believe that is dangerous. And I believe that's something we ought to be made aware of. Okay. All right. That being said,
Your Majesty, I must have a word with you.
The Count of Money. Don't correct me. What is it?
Of course, Your Majesty. I've come on the most urgent business. It is said that the people are revolting.
You said it. They stink on ice.
No, Your Majesty, this is a very serious problem. The peasants feel you have no regard for them.
What? I have no regard for the peasants. They are my people. I am their sovereign. I love them. Pull! Drifting to the left.
Your Majesty, the situation is worsening. The peasants may grow violent.
Violent, you stink. I hate violence. It's the one thing I detest. Violence. I abhor it. Pull! Fell like a stone.
But, Your Majesty, just in case of the remote possibility of a temporary revolution, don't you think it would be wise to have you safely spirited out of Paris?
Perhaps you're right. But who would sit on my throne in my absence?
We'll find a double and put him on the throne.
A double in case of trouble. I like it. would you find a handsome dog to replace me?
Oh, yes, of course, of course. That's it! Your Majesty, you look like the piss boy.
And you look like a bucket of shit!
You don't understand, Your Majesty. It is God's will, sire, except for the beauty mark on the mustache. There's our couple. Yeah. God,
That's what a piss boy is. Somebody that holds the bucket while the important people piss in it. That's all Tucker Carlson is. He's just a piss boy. All this is, by the way, all this was from the movie History of the World Part 1 by Mel Brooks. Again, this is news done differently. So talked about this earlier. Tennessee Republicans advancing a bill, they have passed it, creates a separate privileged class of marriage for heterosexual couples, acting as a loophole to the Supreme Court's legalization of gay marriage. And the bill also legalizes child marriage by eliminating all age requirements. Last night, 93 civilians were killed as they tried to flee besieged towns of Izium. Russian commanders gave the order. Deliberate, predetermined targeting of Ukrainians is genocide. Yeah, taking the high road hasn't been working out so well. So from now on, all of those fledgling wannabe Trumpers are piss boys, whether they're their girl or not. This is Busha. This is the town before it all happened. This brief video gives you an idea of just exactly, the city of 50,000. It's a suburb of Kyiv, a suburb of the nation's capital. Think Andover, Maryland. Think Carmel, Indiana. Gary, Indiana was the Chicago suburb that came in mind, but every city has suburbs around them, and this is a modern city. It's just, it's not in America, but all of this could happen in America, and it almost did, because of a big lie. Here, I'm showing you. I'm sorry. I get caught up in the dialogue and sometimes forget the production. But eventually, and I'm not going to show you, but this circle, this is a man that has been walking down the street this whole time, and this tank's just about to blow him up. And I'm not going to show you that, but it's just proof that this wasn't some self-inflicted thing that Ukrainians did to themselves, like Russia is reporting. And again, after 6 years of constantly refuting asinine lies, I'm getting just where it's time to stop them. Affordable housing is something we talk about here a lot because there is a major gap in communities. The Des Moines, Iowa City Council passed a project that will have affordable housing funding, with the homes costing between $400,000 and $500,000. They're using money that is supposed to go to provide housing for people like me that live on very limited incomes, that that's where the money's allocated, or that's where the federal dollars are. That's the purpose of the federal dollars when they're affordable housing. But the Republicans in the Des Moines City Council have a little loophole. Affordable housing and building $400 to $500 houses. 14 of them, right? I'm sorry, 15. Some news that will be possibly coming out in the next few days. Those that support Putin on the right wing, we wonder what deal is made there. You don't be Putin's puppet that easy. As always, it would be such a shame if, in big letters, capital letters, someone published those documents, don't you think? Just imagine. ... So we're looking forward to the ties, the deals, the texts, the emails, the exchanges that Anonymous has been putting together and will be publishing soon. That's why I said earlier that all the liars are going to be, and I'm tired of dealing with refuting the lies. It's time they are stopped, and soon they're going to be stopped. Adam Kinzinger, one of the few serious Republicans in Congress, is quitting, and he put a message together today that I think everybody should hear.
So I'm back in DC, and what a historic time, obviously. I look at this, and I'm in here looking at a minority leader, Kevin McCarthy, who hasn't really said a word about his members that have shown Putin sympathy. I never could have imagined my party would not just even have somebody that's showing Putin sympathy, but would not vomit them out if they rose their ugly head. We have people like Tucker Carlson, in essence, just asking questions. That's his thing, about whether or not the CIA did, frame all these atrocities we're seeing in Ukraine. And then the latest outrage of the day is some woke thing on Disney or whatever it is, Dr. Seuss we've moved on from. I got to tell you, we've got a bunch of children in this job. We've got a bunch of people that sit around. The world order is being challenged for the first time since World War II. And they're sitting around thinking today about how we can win our next election, what the newest outrage is, what's the next thing we can do to get people angry and upset and get their money from them for our re-election. We are being governed by a bunch of children, by a bunch of people that are not serious about running the United States of America and truly don't understand the threat that's out there from Vladimir Putin, from China, and from some of these actors in the world that want to destroy our place here.
That's why I said earlier that, we somehow need to try to come back together, at least on the notion that the United States is under threat. And there may be a time that we need to be dependent upon each other, despite the fact that there were so many people trying to get us to go to war with each other. I'm just putting that out there, and I'm going to keep putting it out there because I think it's something that needs to be said.
There's a genocide going on in Ukraine, and the outrage is over what's happening in a Walt Disney. You guys deserve way better. I'm glad I'm leaving here in a year.
I'm not.
I'm just being surrounded by a bunch of children.
But I think he's leaving to run for president, honestly.
So let's grow up. And I hope my party can finally remember where our foundations are and actually say that we're not going to be Putin's.
I hope they can too, Congressman. But Rostov-on-Don is just across the border, a few kilometers from Ukraine, and they've erected a new Z monument that they are encouraging people to stop and take selfies in front of. Okay. Again, this is you can't say gay around children in Florida, but you can legally have sex with children in Tennessee. The Grand Old Party, now the Grand Q Party, have passed a law eliminating the age requirement for marriage. The GQP is the party of pedophiles. That's why they project it onto Democrats. I'm not the only one that has seen all this. This is Adam Gates. We talked about him earlier. Gates has 3 charges against him. There's also two of his co-defendants have already agreed to testify against him. He voted yesterday against lowering the price of insulin, capping it at $35 a month. And he said Americans with diabetes should just lose weight. My sister has diabetes. She weighs about probably 88 pounds, little tiny thing. Piece of shit right here. Right here. He's a piece of shit. He thinks he's privileged. He thinks he's untouchable. Another one of the Republican candidates running this year. And friends, it's not like I searched far and wide to find this stuff. Okay. They have no problem.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
There's your man. If you're a racist and you hate Mexicans, vote J.D. Vance. I wrote Hillbilly Elegy. I played this specifically after Adam Kinzinger telling you how we are not sending our best and brightest to represent us and to pass laws and legislation to benefit society, to benefit mankind, to benefit human beings. They're trying to send people like this. You a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? I can't make this stuff up. Once again, there's our 55-year-old child pornography, whose daughter stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop. Another report on the Tennessee Republicans advancing a bill that creates a separate privileged class of marriage for heterosexual couples. Okay, there's going to be rights if you're a man and a woman married, but if you're a gay, lesbian couple that gets married, you're not going to have the same rights. Okay, even though the Supreme Court said otherwise, Tennessee's made a state law, and Tennessee Republicans passed it, and it also removed legalized age for consent of marriage. At the same time, how are people, you know, I talk about these arrogant assholes that think they're untouchable. Just read this article. How can U.S. law enforcement agencies access your data? That's all you got to do. Donald Trump's furious and he actually shouted, "What the fuck is going on?" Social media platform is failing. Truth social media app is bombing so hard that his top executives are leaving. When it first came out, I started talking about it, and I think I did a story on it, and I said they're calling it Truth Social, so it's going to be anything but anything other than the truth. And after the day after that episode, I got a message that no need to talk about Truth Social. We got that covered. I said, okay. We kind of forgot about it. It was infiltrated from the start. The government's been in there. The bad guys have been in there. The good guys that sometimes do bad things for good reasons have been in there. And their so-called good guys quit because they can't make it work. They can't make it work. It only works for a select number of people, and the people that can't make it work, all of their info is compromised, as well as all their electronics. And you don't have to believe me. Again, go to there we go. You don't have to believe me. Read The Guardian. Read the article. How the U.S. law enforcement got all the info, and if the U.S. law enforcement's doing this, most of the bad guys are like 3 steps ahead of them, so they were there first. So yeah, I was told, talk about Trump Social, don't get any of your people going there out of curiosity. So I didn't say anything about it, and now it's all gonna come crashing down. Dana Milbank, Senate Republicans' unhealthy fixation on child porn by the numbers. This is another article I recommend you read. And again, the whole Senate confirmation hearing, all the Republicans, all of it was about sex and child sex. There's something going on. Lindsey Graham asked, "Do you have any idea how many porn sites there are?" Because he knew the answer. They don't ask questions they don't already know the answer to. That's Steve Bannon, American Independence, got a story about his porn and meth house. Again, Madison Cawthorn, are you lying? Or is this one of the 60-year-old guys, 70-year-old guy you were talking about, along with Roger Stone and Don Jr.? Who supplied the cocaine? Where were you when you were doing your key bumps in your wheelchair? And why did you go to an orgy with a bunch of 70-year-old men? Those are questions I think ought to be asked. I don't know. And speaking of Gates, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who is trying to kick Disney out. By the way, I saw a I know it was the Lorena Bobbitt lady. She put a tweet out about how they're going to mess with. She's going to stop Disney from getting the Mickey Mouse copyright next year. Basically, is what she was saying. And Ron DeSantis, of course, is saying, Disney's got some special privileges in the state that we're going to be taking away. I take this personally as well. I have I got 2 family members that are exceptional people. One did work at Disney, one works at Disney now. And there are about 80,000 people that work at Disney. Ron DeSantis won by less than 36,000 people. That's an asshole move politically, Ron. in case your advisors didn't tell you that. You know, you may think it'll help you win the presidential election, but your ties to Trump are going to sink that. Tiny Marco might have a chance, but Ron DeSantis, you're picking fights with a base that is going away. You're picking fights for a base that is going. You think you're going to represent all the Trump people when all the Trump people are going to be gone. Okay, and Lorena Bobbitt, you won by 3,600 votes. All right, and I'm sure some of those 80,000 people live in the district you're in, and I'm sure a whole bunch of people are going to be working really hard to make sure that a whole bunch of you don't get elected, no matter how you try to intimidate at the ballot box. By that time, if you're going to send Republican thugs, there will be counters by that time. But it won't get to that because everything's going to get stopped digitally. Ted Cruz says an African-American woman could have served on the Supreme Court 20 years ago, except the fact that Democrats filibustered a qualified African-American woman, Judge Janice Rogers Brown. The only problem with that is Janice Rogers Brown was never nominated to the Supreme Court. And if she had been, well, showed you a happy story about dogs because of this. 355 dogs died in the animal shelter in Bordianka in the Kiev Oblast. Food and water couldn't be brought to the shelters. 150 of the dogs did survive. And once they are healthy, they're going to be transported, rehomed internationally. I wanted to have this up yesterday and ended up not doing an episode. This was Martin Luther King Jr. Leading a march. And just a reminder that on the 54th day, it was the 54th anniversary, that we as a country have a long way to go. They're singing "We Shall Overcome" as they're marching, and we still got a long way to go. The reason Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has received an 11-11 tie vote is because there are racist agendas in our government, and that's going to be a problem with us ever coming together. But it doesn't mean we should stop trying, especially with this clown departing the scene sooner rather than later. Secret Service spends 12 times per year more protecting Trump and his family on their trips than they did on the Obama family in 7 years. Okay, this, physical responsibility, no regulations, unless it's regulating people that don't look like us and think like us, then we're going to regulate the hell out of you. Another fun story here, fun little video. Just because I got a couple of heavy things still coming. This is a paper, a scientific paper. So I probably lost a lot of Republican viewers, but I hope that's not the case. This was done to understand the impacts of partisan media on beliefs and attitudes. Regular Fox News viewers were paid to watch CNN instead for 7 hours a week for a month. After the experiment, partisan media impacts voting behavior. Yes, what changes in views, beliefs, or attitudes may underline these impacts is poorly understood. we recruited a sample of regular Fox News viewers using data on actual TV viewership from a media company and incentivized them to watch CNN instead for a month using real-time viewership quizzes. Despite regular Fox viewers being largely strong partisans, we found the manifold effect of changing the slant of their media diets onto more factual beliefs, attitudes, perceptions of issues, importances, and overall political views. We show that these effects stem in part from a bias we call partisan coverage filtering, wherein partisan outlets selectively report information, leaving viewers to learn a biased set of facts. They're not learning anything, they're being taught a biased set of facts. You have to go beyond that to learn. Consistent with this, treated participants concluded that Fox concealed negative information about President Trump. False news. Remember, false, fake news. If anything's bad about Trump, it's fake. Anything bad about Trump is going to be fake. Partisan media does not only present its side an electoral advantage, it may present a challenge for democratic accountability. That's why I think what MSNBC is talking about doing is just as potentially bad. But we have seen what Fox did and what they continue to do. Ukrainian mothers are writing the names of the little kids, their birth dates, and contact phone numbers of relatives in case the parent is killed and the child survives. This dog does not leave its owner. The owner's been laying there for a couple of weeks, and the dog just has stayed right there. This is what we showed you the other night. The dark videos. These are the bodies that have been brought out to light. Tucker Carlson showed up at a church, and lightning didn't strike and burn it down, so it must not be much of a church. Lined up baby strollers, car seats, and shoes to protest children killed by Russians in Ukraine, which Tucker has said, he's rooting for Russia to win. Tucker's far from untouchable. Tucker's a piss boy. Remember? Tucker's just a piss boy. Actually, you know what? Let's just do a little experiment. Let's just do a little experiment here. Just do a quick Google while we got time. It's just us. And let's see, where does Tucker Carlson live? We'll just Google it. His name is Tucker Swanson McNair Carlson. It's no wonder he thinks everybody's a toad except for him. Tucker Swanson McNeil Carlson. American television host and conservative political commentator. Anyway, let's find out where he lives. He lives in Florida, in Gasparilla Island. Okay. Well, you see how we can do this. We just pull up another Google page and we get a map and we look at Gasparilla Island in Florida. And he sells his DC digs and snags a Florida hideaway. Okay, his house is at Boca Grande, so we've got even more information. Let's see. Oh, it's got a Google map attached to it. Now, I'm not going to dox the guy yet. I'm not going to show you where his house is or anything like that. And honestly, I didn't think there'd be this much information in just a Google. So, but that's how it's done. That's how open source intelligence works. People with intelligence use the sources that are open to the public, and they find out all different kinds of things. But yeah, he's just a piss boy. He thinks he's he thinks he's something that he's not. And let's go back to just one little piece of information on our good friend Marjorie Taylor Greene. A federal judge in Atlanta has set a hearing for 2 p.m. this Friday. People are trying to get her banned from being on the ballot because she's an insurrectionist and they don't think she should represent the United States. I agree with her. And the judge is Amy Tottenberg, the sister of National Public Radio's Nina Tottenberg. Not that that matters anything other than two accomplished sisters. Again, this is more of what's coming out of Busha. And as I said in the last episode, as I started the last episode, this is just, this is just the first. There are going to be hundreds of incidents coming out in the future. Trump's co-conspirator, Pete Sessions, one of the senators that was trying to help overthrow the government, his dad is the attorney for the international head of the Russian mafia. Remember where we had a clue that Anonymous might be leaking information about how the ties are connected? Again, this is another satellite footage just confirming where the bodies were and how long they were there. This is a close-up. Wagner Group, we've talked a lot about them. It's our first actual sighting of them in a headquarters in uniform with a patch. And in the past, what we've seen is them in civilian clothes. Russian invaders killed a family. They burned the bodies. I've got pictures of all this, and I can't. I can't at the moment. Okay, here's a feel-good story. 15-year-old boy named Tamar Boggs. Right here's Tamar. He chased a car on his bike for 15 minutes to save this 5-year-old girl that he saw get kidnapped from her front yard, and he was successful. So a good on the young man. There is good. There is good. Another assault from, again, there are dozens of these. This is quite troubling. Basically, Russia is saying in this opinion piece, op-ed by the state news, so it's state approved. Denazification is a set of measures aimed at the Nazified mass of the population, which technically cannot be subjected to direct punishment as war criminals. Basically, they are they're trying to dehumanize. They're trying to justify the killing, and the denazification is inevitably called de-Ukrainization. And we've seen this. We've seen them just killing people just because they're Ukrainian. And this is propaganda, okay? We show you a lot of things, and sometimes we have to explain to you why it's not propaganda, as we just did with the New York Times satellite footage. This is the Russian version of propaganda. Okay. What's wrong with this? The cameraman is walking backwards through what supposedly is a minefield in front of the people that are sweeping for mines. Okay. Now, either the cameraman is an absolute freaking idiot. I wouldn't think that would be the case. I would think it would be staged to make it look like these guys are really doing something, when in fact they're just walking along an area they know is safe. I don't know. Cameramen don't walk backwards into minefields. Okay, a little humor. And
Brett? Uh-oh, is he here?
Now, I'll probably get it with a copyright for this, and it will probably be cut out of the video for the recorded versions. So if you're not watching live, you may not see this.
Now, this is exciting. I'm hearing we actually have a surprise on the line. Am I correct?
Uh-oh. Is he here? Hello? Mr. President? Are you on FaceTime?
If you build it, I will come. Hello, friends. Can you see me?
Mr. President, wow, what a treat. Thanks for fitting us into your busy schedule.
Oh, very busy, Steve, here at Mar-a-Lago with the golf and the wedding receptions and getting clumps of bacon with dogs at breakfast bar.
Well, so much to discuss, but I gotta ask, sir, did you see the famous slap?
You know, I did see Slap. I enjoyed Slap. I was very impressed with my hitch. You know, quite an arm on Hitch. I always knew Hitch had an arm. Back in Pursuit of Happiness, he's lugging the machine on and off the subway. I thought it was great.
Oh, well. Actually, on second view, that wasn't as funny as I initially thought. So we'll just skip that. Some more brutality going on in Jerusalem. Again, it's almost a constant each night. This is the third night of Ramadan. Some world media coverage. Putin's called worse than ISIS. It's declared a genocide, massacre of innocents. And so now I want to get to a couple of videos. If you stuck with me this long, so much stuff. JD Vance, if you're a racist or you hate Mexicans, and that look right there from your friends, even the red ear is just like, you know. Oh, and I overlooked this. This says in Kostroma. And again, the Z is the new swastika. The man destroys the Z statue, and the police are there, and he just says, "See ya," and walks away. They kind of stand there befuddled, and then they kind of decide, yeah, you know. These are some of the posts that have been copied or taken from comments about Truth Social. That is not an official CIA account. Truth Social team working around the clock following troubled launch, says Devin Nunes. Either Devin Nunes is going to sue Trump, or Trump will sue Devin Nunes. Digital World, 13% after Truth Social app downloads plummet. Roger Stone complains about censored content on Trump's free speech app. Roger Stone is complaining that he doesn't have free speech on Trump's Truth Social free speech app. Roger Stone is complaining about censored. Okay, want to make sure I was sharing this. I tried Trump's Truth Social, so you don't have to. Trump's Truth Social app branded a disaster. Okay. Again, I'm sorry to see Adam Kinzinger not run anymore, but he's got bigger plans. This was a little troubling to me.
Rights Council, and he's
actually I'll be right back. As this plays.
Last week, Stefan was asked about whether or not the Secretary General supported removing Russia from the Human Rights Council, and he suggested that in principle he didn't think it was a good idea. And I'm wondering, I know he's spoken very strongly about the situation in Bucha. Does that change that assessment at all?
I think from our standpoint, the basic point to make is matters such as this are in the hands of the member states, and we will leave it to the member states to decide. What the worry has been on this side is the precedent being set about this action, but ultimately, like I said, we respect the right of the member states to take action and to respond to matters on the ground. Yes, Phil.
Could you elaborate on what you mean by the precedent that it sets, and how that might be difficult going forward if when one country is particularly a P5 members?
I think I will leave it at what I've just said. Benny Avni, you have a question?
Yes, I do. What do you mean by precedent? In 2011, Libya was suspended from the Human Rights Council, so that was a precedent. What do you mean by precedent?
Like I said to Kristen, I'll leave it at that. Obviously, it's up to the members of the General Assembly to determine actions as they will. The question is about the precedent that may be set, and I think the member states know what we mean when we say that.
See, a precedent has already been set. Libya was kicked off the UN Security Council. That's the point the journalist just made, and he keeps going back to, well, we this will set a new precedent. Doing something to Russia will set a new precedent. That's basically what's going on, and you're seeing being talked around in the international community.
Anyway,
I don't understand what you mean by you will leave it at that. You're saying something that is untrue. You're saying that this would be a precedent. It is not.
I think you and I both know what the difference is. And
no,
with
I
that,
don't. Explain.
No, I'm sure you.
No. Explain. No. Troubling. Troubling partially because of this. See, most aren't aware that this is going on. Russia and Japan have they've never signed a peace treaty from World War II. They are still in conflict over 4 little islands, as you'll see in this video. Just to give you kind of a brief setup, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'm going to play enough that you get the idea of why it's concerning. Okay. U.S., we're going to get paid $8 billion to provide U.S. troops to Japan, which puts us at another front. And we've been talking about I'll just touch on this briefly. Russia conducted drills on these 4 islands while they are at war with Ukraine. It didn't there wasn't a lot of reporting going on. It was the same time that North Korea launched their missiles, they launched 2 test missiles in like a week period. And the second one was the intercontinental ballistic missile that, we reported on. So the idea, again, my thing from the start has always been, this is about getting America into a 2-front war so we can be bled dry. And so the balance of power can change economically to Russia and China away from America and Western Europe. So all these troops were involved in Japan, while troops are involved in Ukraine. Okay, so you got the gist of what's going on. United States troops are going to be going to Japan probably very soon, and don't be surprised if Russia attacks Japan, if nothing else, on those islands. Saw this earlier today. One B-52 bomber flew an unusual mission over the Pacific Ocean. It came down to South America, and then its transponder cut off right here. So not sure where it went or what it was doing off the coast of South America. It had 2 Stratotankers with it, and was refueling. This was from earlier tonight, a large explosion in the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Again, CPAC is going to be in Hungary next, and Russia 2 months after that. Talked about Roger Stone.
Thing going on. They're like, why is Roger?
By the way, this is Alex Jones. Roger Stone's on the Alex Jones show. And Alex hasn't sunk into Alex yet. He's a little bit, it hasn't sunk into him yet what's going to be happening to him very soon. You can kind of tell by the look on Roger Stone's face, 2 things. He knows what's coming. He was so brazen as to actually shoot a documentary of the whole thing. He thought it was going to, there's no way it's going to fail. And he'll have a historical record of how they did it, how they saved America, because that would have been a great part of the con. And instead, it's all unraveling, and you can kind of see it in his face. And when Alex Jones mentions cocaine, watch Roger Stone.
Just talking like a normal person, or what's our angle saying he's telling the truth? We're just commentating. There's not some big political mastermind thing going on. They're like, why is Roger Stone backing him up? What's really going on? Because everybody knows they got sex parties in D.C., folks.
Yeah, I mean, look, I knew what I was getting into when I started.
Just talking like a normal person, or what's?
Listen to his words.
I mean, look, I knew what I was getting into when I started.
Just talking like a normal person.
I knew what I was getting into. He's admitting to the cocaine story. Okay, he knew what he was getting into. He knew the question was coming.
Nazis.
This is the Ukrainian ambassador addressing Russia in the United Nations.
He should ask these very questions to himself. How have Russians got to the cruelty of Nazis? When have you started enjoying acting like Nazis? Killing civilians, attempting to redraw internationally recognized borders, setting the task to finally resolve the Ukrainian issue, like Hitler attempted to resolve the Jewish issue.
And that was the point. I was on that article earlier, and I couldn't find the exact spot, but that was the very troubling line in there was we have to find a solution for the Ukrainian issue, which was almost word for word what Hitler said. We have to find a final solution for the Jewish issue, Jewish problem.
And once again, a reminder to Putin's diplomats. Ribbentrop denied any knowledge of concentration camps, racial extermination policies.
By the way, there have been reports of thousands upon thousands of Ukrainians taken to camps in Russia.
Yet was found guilty at Nuremberg war crime trial. And we all know what happened to him on the 16th of October 1946. If there is anything that we have to thank the Russian representative for, it is his acknowledgement at yesterday's press conference that Russia is waging war against Ukraine. War, you said several times, not the special operation.
Eventually the truth comes out. Sometimes so much damage has been done but eventually the truth does come out. I'm going to play this earlier tomorrow night, but this is one of the latest from Anonymous.
Vladimir Putin and the Russian population, we have attacked your banks, your government sites and your broadcasting platforms, including mass SMS messages in which you tried bringing down calling us Nazis. Your ideology of Ukraine and Russia being one is not acceptable. The Ukrainian people have had their freedoms taken away within weeks. Under your orders you have murdered innocent children, women and families, leaving most families homeless and broken. Almost 3 million have fled since your invasion, the worst humanitarian disaster since World War II. The Ukrainian people will fight until your soldiers retreat from the whole country. They just will not accept even the slightest possibility of defeat. They will fight until they reclaim their home and sovereignty. Genocide is unforgivable and deserves extreme punishment. Mr. Putin, 3 days ago your approval rating was up 83%. This is a percentage we cannot accept in society. The approval rating of your power means the Russian people are now the enemy. They have cold-heartedly sided with you and your evil regime, which now means that Anonymous are coming for your needs of survivability. We will... Genocide is unforgivable and deserves extreme punishment. Mr. Putin, 3 days ago your approval rating was up 83%. This is a percentage we cannot accept in society. The approval rating of your power means the Russian people are now the enemy. They have cold-heartedly sided with you and your evil regime, which now means that Anonymous are coming for your needs of survivability. We will attack your internet exchanges, your payment systems, water supplies, your gas supplies, and your electricity grid. We will also take full control of your satellite systems, nuclear plants, and we will render you useless. It is now time that you feel the full brunt of the West's cyber capabilities. You were warned in which you ignored. I call upon every Anonymous member, pentester, cybersecurity activists, and hacktivists to unite as one. It's time this punishment is delivered for the Ukrainian people. It's time because they need our help. It's time to unleash the biggest cyber attack we have ever launched. Let's disable their systems. We are Anonymous, we are Legion, we do not forgive, we do not forget, expect us. Russia will fall, slava Ukraine, glory to Ukraine. Any company or country seen supporting Russia and Putin will become a target.
And normally Anonymous does not target citizens. However, because of the approval Russia's citizens are giving to Putin, they are now going to be subject to attack. Keep in mind that when that does happen, and it will happen because Anonymous does not make idle threats, I'll play this tomorrow night too for the military people. It's a great visual of a small bit of the battlefield. They don't make idle threats. So I know they're going to attack Russia. They're going to attack the Russian infrastructure. And when that happens, that would probably be the time that Putin would decide to possibly do something against the United States if he was going to. So,
Bill, without giving too much away, give us.
Just wanted both to promote the idea that Anonymous, and I mentioned Anonymous earlier in them saying, there are pro-Russian people and entities in the West, specifically America, and very soon there'll be information coming out on them. They've already warned Marjorie Taylor Greene to expect them, and she just kind of blew it off. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out. This is it was about right here, I think. This is Bill Broward.
SWIFT International Payment System.
Okay. He was kicked out of the American Chamber of Commerce in Moscow. And he lived in Moscow for a long time, and he got kicked out because he had a disagreement with Putin.
And we've sanctioned about 12 of the large.
Bill, without giving too much away, give us.
I'm going to make sure this doesn't get interrupted.
Bill, without giving too much away, give us an idea.
Let's go about right here.
Russian oligarchs. But I don't believe any of these at this point are going to alter Putin's calculus. I think the purpose of sanctions at this point is to prevent him from having money to continue his war. If we can bleed him economically so that he eventually runs out of money for this war, that has to be the purpose of sanctions now.
Bill, your thoughts on the most recent images coming out of the war in Ukraine?
I wanted to start, so pretty close.
Heartbreak, just total and absolute heartbreak. When I watch these images, I feel sick to my stomach. I have a hard time looking at the pictures. I have a hard time reading the stories. And I completely understand what the people of Ukraine are feeling, because I know Vladimir Putin. I know what he's like. I've been in a conflict with him for the last 10 years. He doesn't ever back down. He doesn't ever show mercy. He doesn't ever show restraint. Various people connected to me have been killed. And I know what they must be feeling right now. And the scariest thing and the most upsetting thing is that what we've seen so far is only a small taste of what's to come. Vladimir Putin is completely and absolutely the most evil man who exists in the world today. And he's got terrible, terrible things in store for us going forward.
What is the role, you had mentioned the West, what is the role now of the U.S., of Canada?
Well, the role of the U.S., the role of Canada, the role of the EU, UK, Japan, Switzerland is to create a total economic blockade of Russia and Vladimir Putin. That has to be our only objective.
Pardon me.
We have to stop all money flowing to Russia. And what that means practically is that we need to sanction more oligarchs because they hold Putin's money. We need to finish off disconnecting all of the Russian banks from the SWIFT system, not just the 70% of the banks.
We're getting intelligence that a lot of the money is coming in through Syria, through Bashar Assad. that he's taking out loans that are supposed to be for Syrian infrastructure and funneling the money to Putin to fund the war
so far. And that means, particularly for our European allies, to stop buying Russian oil and gas. So we're not sending Vladimir Putin between $500 million and $1 billion a day to fund his war to kill Ukrainian civilians.
Bill, what do you think is happening in Russia right now? Happening economically, politically? What does that look like?
Economically, it's a disaster. I think that they're facing what will be the equivalent of the Great Depression for them in due course because of these sanctions. The central bank has half of its reserves frozen. There's no more money flowing in from the oligarchs. There's no more money flowing in from Western businesses who have also cut out. You can't use your credit cards. You can't watch Netflix. You can't buy most products. It's going to be very painful for the average person. Having said that, Vladimir Putin has disconnected all truth from the system. Nobody in Russia really knows what's going on. What they believe in Russia is that the Russian army is on a special operation, a special humanitarian operation, is how it's being presented, to stop Nazis from committing human rights abuses in Ukraine. And the average Russian person doesn't know any different because all of the other sources of information have been shut down. There are no independent sources of information.
So when Trump basically said everything was false news, fake news, people turned to Fox, the Trump people. And when you only turn to one thing, you only see one thing. That's what you're taught. You don't learn anything. You're just taught untruths.
Particularly like North Korea. And so the Russian people are in most, for the most part, supporting Vladimir Putin as he commits these atrocities because they have no idea that they're being committed.
Why do you continue to tell the story?
I started telling the story when my lawyer, Sergei Magnitsky, was murdered. He was murdered for uncovering a massive government corruption scheme. And he wouldn't have been murdered if he hadn't been my lawyer. And so it's been my duty to him and his memory and his family to go after the people who killed him, which is Vladimir Putin and his regime. Since then, it's been 12 years and I carry on. And as I carry on, I see more and more terrible things as we're witnessing right now. And I can't back away. I have to do more. And that's why I'm doing this.
Tell us about the risks when it comes to telling this story. Alexei Navalny.
So basically, he is kind of warning us, if you will, that, we have not seen the worst from Putin. I've been telling you these things that, it's Ukraine is Ukraine is a platform. Ukraine is a stage. Yes, Ukraine is the focus at the moment, but it's never really been what this is about. And I still don't think this is actually solely about Ukraine. He may be getting his butt handed to him so badly that it becomes just solely about Ukraine, but I still don't believe that it ends with the Ukrainian border. I still think there are other objectives that Putin has had from the start, and I really hope I'm wrong, but these next few days will be crucial in how these next few days play out, and what happens geopolitically, and what happens here in our very own country. If you happen to live here in the United States, as I do, and if not, thank you for watching from wherever you may be. It's called News Done Differently, and we will be back. I've been working to try to get a special guest to talk with us, and I may have that tomorrow. I hope so. If I do, I'll be back with that. If I don't get that interview in, then we'll be back tomorrow night at 10 with another episode of News Done Differently. If I do get the interview, it'll be a special edition. So look for that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Sincerely. This has been News Done Differently. I wish you a blessed 6th day of April as we are past midnight. And I